the flame is lit, truth will gather.
Alapia from number 113 of Arisha Stone. Peace and blessings to the tribe. This is going to be a big cheap talk tonight, but before we get started, we got Brother Bilal in the building tonight. Brother Bilal, you'll open us up correctly, sir?
Odeleme Shaitoni Rajim, with Allah's name, the most benefactor, the merciful redeemer. All praise is due to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of all the worlds, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, the master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship and thine aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way upon those whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those whose portion is not wrath, and the none of those who go astray. Ameen.
I say, man. Thank you, Brother Bilal. Appreciation. Yo, tonight we have a very special guest, always, but a very special guest tonight, and Professor James Small. A lot of people talk about this warrior path and everything else, and a lot of people talk about they internet warriors and keyboard warriors. But this brother, before they had the internet and all these other things, we had Brother Bilal and Brother James Small. How you doing tonight, Brother James Small? Professor Small.
No, Brother Small. I like Brother Small better.
Yes, sir.
I like Brother Small better. That's what most people called me most of my life, is Brother Small.
Please introduce yourself to the tribe, man. Just in case somebody been living up under a rock and don't know what's going on because they're highly distracted. Where are you from, and what have you been doing for the last 20, 30 years, sir?
Well, for the last 60 years, I've been doing what I've been doing.
Yes, sir.
South Carolina, coastal South Carolina, a place called Georgetown near Myrtle Beach and Charleston, right in the middle of the two. Been in New York for much of the time since 1966. I am a former imam of the Muslim Mosque, Inc., founded by Malcolm X after his assassination. I became the imam over that mosque for some 12 years of practice, 18 years of service. I'm Al-Hajj Amin Shaheed, went to Mecca back in 1974, made my Hajj. I taught at City University in New York for some 20 years, Dr. Leonard Jeffries. But I've been involved in just street activity and struggle for the last 60 plus years. Served as Malcolm X sister Ella's bodyguard for some 18 years. Always trying to stay in the shadow. Trying not to be out in the last, I've been out more in the last 10 years than I was in 50 years prior. Still married to my queen, who I met in the mosque 55 years ago. Father of 8 children, 2 adopted, 23 grandkids. I believe in struggle from the cradle to the grave. I believe that true freedom is to be shackled to your identity. And I believe you must know history if you're going to destroy the enemy's mystery about you. And so the rest of it is just struggle wherever you are, economically, politically, and culturally. Wherever you are, no matter what your religion, what your belief, if you're not struggling around economic politics and culture and getting control of land, labor, and resources where you live, to build communities where you live, you're not living. And identity is one of the most powerful instruments we have. And that's why the enemy walked our books out of the school. That's why they blocked us for decades from having Black studies taught, because they understand identity. We've been in a war around our identity, not for 400 years over in the Western Hemisphere, for about 3,000 years, ever since we met the Greeks, the Syrians, the Hittites, the Hyksos, the Romans. We have been in a race war. We're just in the last phase of that race war now. We're gonna win it, but it's gonna take some time. It took us a couple of thousand years to get here, and we'll get out in a shorter period of time. But the war that's being fought is around knowing thyself. If you don't know yourself, you're in trouble. You don't even know who you're fighting for, what you're fighting for. So that's me. That's who I am. That's all I've been doing with my life. Trying to raise a family, trying to stay on a path that is based on good character, staying close with the divine as much as I understand it, trying to live a good life, fight the war. Be complete freedom or death. Nothing in between those two things.
I say. And I had to give out a little libation for the ancestors known the unknown and the warriors known the unknown, and like such as yourself, and actually seen some different things. You and Brother Bilal have seen a whole lot in this struggle. Tonight we wanted to talk about economics and warfare and strategy and everything else, because you've been through this many a times, and it's like we keep going through the same cycle over and over again. They got us fighting the same wars. But right now, our people are more asleep and more divided than ever. So with that being said, I want to go around the room. Young Elder, how you doing, God?
Peace. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to relocate. I'm gonna get ready to relocate in this living room in just a second so I can get close to the internet. But yeah, peace to everybody. Peace to the ancestors. This is a good class because we on with some legendary people like Professor Smalls. He a legend in the game. And we want to give him his flowers right now. And I've been watching him for a long time, since I'm talking about before I even started doing it. So he one of the legends in the game. And this right here is like it's like, I can't say it's like a celebrity shock. It's like you know how when you meet somebody that you always admire, it's like that type of thing. So yeah.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. We got our young elder in the building, and this is our new age of getting information out. This is one of the chief minister of education. So tonight, without further ado, Professor Smalls, man, there's a lot going on in this world right now. A lot of psyops and different things going on. I know last year a lot of people took their tail and backed out of reaching out to you, especially when you were being attacked by a lot of low non-thinking individuals, and the whole time you trying to connect the tribe to make us more powerful as a collective, as a melanated collective. So with that being said, how are you feeling right now? Where are we at right now in 2026? Where are we at as far as military strategic? What's going on with it in this war right now?
Yes, sir. We're not as bad as a lot of people think, because look at the four of us. We're here together right now. You know, actually 2 generations working together, maybe 3, 2 generations at least. And when I do a lot of stuff around the world with young people on platforms like yours in Africa and the Caribbean. Last week, I think I did one in Nevis and in the Caribbean. I did one with some brothers the week before that in Guyana. There's a lot of people around the world that think like you. We just have to keep making contacts with them. Millions upon millions upon millions of people think like we do. But the ones who don't, the ones who are contrary to freedom, contrary to unity, the system raised them up. But you remember our brother said the revolution will not be televised? In the 60s, they were televising us, and they found out, oh, that was a mistake because they became our communication network. So they're not televising those of us who are fighting anymore, but we exist in massive numbers across the African world, men, women, elders, and youth, struggling around our spirituality, struggling around our appropriate religious behavior, struggling around ancient culture and how to turn it into modern culture, struggling around getting control of economic politics and culture where we live. We see the young brothers in the Sahel, in Mali, in Niger, and Burkina Faso, just made a move in the last 6 years that have crushed the French. And we see people migrating and supporting them. They've tried to kill young Toure in Burkina Faso 19 or 20 times, but the people won't let them. And so that's a change. A few years ago, they've been able to remove that child, you know, who has become a mighty African man and he's not by himself. Remember, he's surrounded by hundreds of other members of that government that's helping him come up with these ideas and these positions. and these principles. And the same thing in Mali. They attacked the so-called Al-Qaeda, masquerading as Muslim, and ISIS masquerading as Muslim, both of them set up by the CIA, all right, and backed by French money, English money, MI6, CIA, French intelligence. Well, they jump on the wrong people when they killed that young Minister of Defense in Mali and hundreds and hundreds of our people a month ago, because the armies of Niger, Burkina, and Mali tracked them down, surrounded their headquarters, and now have them captured. And found out that Tunisia, was it Tunisia or Algeria, were an accomplice in it all. And we know the Gulf state, along with the Europeans, were financing these people. And it isn't that they don't like Black people. Most of them don't, but that wasn't the issue. The issue is gold, uranium, cobalt, what's they call that metal, that group of metal that they all want, minerals. And so they want the natural resources of Africa, and they don't want to come and do business with us. They could get the natural resources, pay for it, but they don't want to pay for it. They've been stealing it for hundreds of years, and they want to continue to steal it. And our people are saying no. You know, we had a president of Tanzania, Brother Magufuli, who died mysteriously during that covert event, but he was able to wrestle the gold industry from the British, took the British to world court, made them pay billions of dollars of what they stole, and reinvest that money in hospitals, schools, bridges, and roads in Tanzania. But the young brother died very young. They claim it was his heart. I don't believe them. We know what they do, how they do it. And we saw how they went after Mugabe in Tanzania, meaning, President Mugabe in East Africa. When he decided we're going to take control of the natural resources, then America decides, oh, we're going to put sanction on you. And the rest of the world, thank God, most of the African nations in the South continue to trade with Zimbabwe. And just as they've done in Cuba. Cuba have never done anything to America, except through the gangsters and the thieves and the robbers and the enslavers out of their country. And for that, America, using our tax money for nearly 60 years, have placed sanctions on those people. And now have put sanctions on the people. When they cut off those lights, do they realize everybody in the ICU died that night? And nobody's saying nothing about it? So we have to look around the world. We here in the United States of America, we're under attack every day. So now they're attacking the voter rights accomplishments and the other accomplishments of the 60s to get us in place where our citizenship matter. And we need to wake up and understand that we have never not fought. We have won some enormous victories in America that other people have copied around the world. We've led the movement for human rights, whether we call it civil or human, it was basic human rights. And we led that movement. And so what I think we need to do now, in this day and this time, we have to talk about unity, because nothing divided wins in any battle. Only that which is united represents a force that can lead to victory. And the Muslim community is one of the best suited to set a good example. The Nation of Islam, in its multiple pieces, must learn to unite with the brothers and sisters in the Orthodox Sunni community. And they must learn, the two of them, to unite with the brothers in the Gaza earth. Because you'd be surprised, the numbers. And all of them come basically from the same father and the same teachings in the beginning. That's just one level. Then at the level, we've got all these different Christian denominations, which our youth have pretty much abandoned. But why abandon all those nice buildings that we can't afford to buy, that we need to do Saturday schools in, and we need to do weekend after school for our children, and we need to set up STEM programs? Let's go back and take over the churches. Even I made the mistake of attacking them and running away from them. But we'll never get those facilities. It'll take us 100 years to get the kind of facilities that they had in the school, have in the schools they have. So we have to look at different kind of relationships. We don't have to be crude about it. I made it sound a little crude then, but we're not going to take them over, but we're going to become a part of an influence, because we've got to be able to control how we get economics. Well, first, let me put it like this. Every day, I just came back from the supermarket before we started the show because I know we need some food. Me and my wife was on the computer today arguing with people because we're trying to pay the mortgage. All right. So you got to provide food, clothing, and shelter for your family. That's paramount. That's upfront. Food, clothing, shelter for your family. But you can't provide that food, clothing, and shelter unless you do what Malcolm said when somebody said, Brother Minister Malcolm X, what do you mean by Black nationalism? He said, you got to control the economics, the politics, and the culture where you live. He used the word social. And I add a fourth one to that. You got to control the spiritual environment you live in, you know, the economic, the politics, the culture, and the spiritual environment where you live. Now, to do that, you got to take control of the land. You got to get control of the labor and the resources where you live. Now, I've been saying the same thing for 50 years. Or something so small, you've been saying this. It's true. If I don't breathe oxygen, I'm going to die today. If I didn't breathe it yesterday, I'm going to die. That's a truism. All right? Land, labor, and resources. And it's not as difficult as we think. I hear the brothers complain, say, well, oh, those are the people who own the stores in our community. We shop them. Stop shopping. And they'll sell you the store for cheap. And you get control of the land. You know, and I suggest to organizations, you know, one good thing to put the youth to work, to get them involved, to see these ideas of economic politics and culture, land, labor, and resources being owned and controlled by you. I remember when I worked with the brothers when we started the Sons of Africa, and we've been together 40-something years now, and we're still a pretty large grouping. We don't advertise ourselves, wear symbols or decal, but we exist as the Sons of Africa as an extension of Malcolm X's OAAU. I call it mapping the community. So you get a group of youngsters. We have cell phones now. In the old days when I was doing it, we just had clipboards. And you go down and take one block and say, we want to know who owns every one of the building in this block. Who owns that building? And then the second part of your mapping, once you find out who owned the building, the block and lot number, which you can get at City Hall, then you want to find out what businesses are in that community. What type of businesses is on that block? That's a part of your mapping. And then you want to know who own the businesses on that block. That's a part of your mapping. Then you want to find out with your interview with the businesses, are they hiring your people from your community, or are they bringing people from their community into your community to work while they contribute nothing to daycares, they contribute nothing to schools, they contribute nothing to the upgrading of the community itself. Remember, Malcolm says, people come into town and take our money, and when sun go down, they take their money to another part of town. We have to stop that, but only we can stop that if we use this little methodology of mapping that I'm talking about to enlighten our population so the youth understand what we're talking about. When they see it like that, it gets very clear. We don't own that building. I keep saying my neighborhood, my hood, but we don't own that. Not only don't we own the building, we don't own the business in the building. And the people who own the business in the building don't employ me in the business. And the people who make money from the business don't invest in the community. So all I am, for the most part, is a renter in somebody else's community. I got a neighborhood, but I don't have a community. And if I don't have a community, I can't build no nation. So these are kind of the discussions we've got to have. And where we have these groups that call themselves street gangs, if you understand and look at the Italians and the Polish and the Jews and the Irish, the one thing they gangs didn't do is kill their own people. You couldn't kill their woman or their children because you're gone. You wouldn't see sundown in that community if you shot some 6-year-old baby in a stroller. You know?
I say.
And talking about your colors. What colors are you wearing? It should all be white, because you're behaving towards your own people like the Ku Klux Klan and all the other clans. And it needs to be set straight up front, because the brother will say, I'm wearing these colors and this is my neighborhood and I'm covering down and I'm protecting, then protect it. That's what gangs did in other communities. It protect that ethnic group from anybody else abusing them. They didn't become the abusers of their people.
I see.
But then we bring it to the level, and then
I got a question.
this is the last piece about character. Good character. When you see a brother who's a Muslim, you see a brother who's a upright Christian, because we can't condemn all Christians because we see some bad Christians. I used to do that. I was brutal at that, and I've learned. I've made a lot of mistakes like everybody else. I made a lot of bad judgments, and I had to learn. You know, when I walk away from Islam, I condemned it. Then I had to learn. I made a mistake. I should have looked at those who were committing the crime and not looking at the institution that was producing all the good character and good people that has serviced our community. And so we got to take new approaches to how we reach out to brothers. I don't not call myself a Muslim. When I feel like it, I go to Juma. You know what I'm saying? And I go pray with the brothers. And if I find that there are any mosques in my community need my assistance and need my help, I'm there. I do the same thing for the brothers and sisters in the Yoruba community and the Akan community and in the Christian community. But I demand one thing, good character. That your intentions toward this community and your intentions toward the African people is straight up and upright.
I see.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Because man, we young people. My first question is to Brother Professor Smalls is about the South African apartheid. What do you have on the how does the South African apartheid change the paradigm of the African people? If you got anything on that.
On this, what's going on down there now with them beating up on their own people, killing their own people? Or the apartheid situation as it exists?
No. Going back to going back to the 1600s when the Dutch and the Portuguese under the Spanish Inquisition invaded the Africans and that paradigm. What do you have on that? That going back then, the 1600s.
Yes, sir. Well, it again, it's the European enemy out of greed. When they discovered, you remember Islam rises in the 7th century, 600s. And the Islamic world under the Umayyads take control of the Mediterranean trade routes to the rest of the East. The European, who are now just developing their Christianity after the Protestant Reformation, but really, the Protestant Reformation haven't even come yet. This is with the Catholicistic, the Roman Catholic Church. They were trying to control all of the trade from China, from other places coming into the Mediterranean basin. Once the Muslims take control of Turkey and much of Eastern Europe and all of North Africa, they cut off the European. And now they're trying to outflank the Muslim. I'm leaving a lot out of the history. That's why they went into the Black Death. Because they couldn't get the salt, they couldn't get the peppers, they couldn't get the cloves, they couldn't get none of the spices to preserve meat. So they were up there eating all this rotten meat and all this stuff, and it got bad up there. They lost half of the population. So they were looking, and in the 7th century, under the Umayyad and a combination of the Umayyad and the North African Almoravids and Almoravids, they invade Spain. And we took all our knowledge and technology, and they go like, damn, there is a world beyond living in the gutter. We opened their eyes. We can call them the Black Muslims. Woke them up. And they realized there's another world out there. And we can see if we can now, they're learning about our history. They're learning about Africa. They're learning it isn't just that little piece of land they can see across the Mediterranean. And they also learn about a kingdom called Aksum, later to be named Ethiopia. And that in this kingdom was a mighty Christian empire, which there was. And they thought it was the same as their Christian, which was a messy misunderstanding of Christianity. And so they were sailing to find Ethiopia, join up with Prestigion. They had a mythical king, they called him Prestigion, never existed. And so they thought if we could join forces with this Christian kingdom, we can outflank the Muslims and take the Mediterranean back. And what happened, they discovered the rest of us. And all hell broke loose when they saw the wealth, when they saw the peace, when they saw the beautiful cities coming into places like Benin, where we had sewage and street lights with palm oil fueling the lights and gridded streets, and they lost their minds. And instead of coming and trying to make trade and do favors, they came back with their muskets and their swords and their armies. And the people who were living a peaceful life, for the most part, were farmers and fishers and miners. They declared war on us, and that's the war we're still in. I know I covered a lot of spaces, but this is how they got, brother, to South Africa. That's where they were fueled. That was a fueling station at first to get to Ethiopia. But going around, they discovered Mauritania, the Mauritius, the Indian Ocean, the Seychelles, and they lost their mind when they saw the wealth and the beauty and the people and everything. And so they decided to settle in South Africa. But it didn't go easy. You know, we don't study that history much. There was one Zulu war under General Bambata, where they killed thousands of those crackers. Thousands. But they came back in with the Gatling gun. And we had no match for that thing, where they could kill 1,000 of us in an hour, and our people stopped fighting because it was something beyond our imagination, that you don't even see a weapon, all you see people bleeding and dying. And then but when you think of the battles we won before that, studying the Zulu warriors, then you can go back to Sechueya, who killed, I think about, in one day, killed about 1,500 British soldiers. That was more British soldiers than had ever been killed since Britain had started trying to invade Africa. And it caused the Robespierre government in Britain to collapse, because the people say, you let our sons go over there and these black folks killed them, and they overthrew the government in Britain. But we don't even have that story. The king who fought that war against them was Sechueya, and he was the Zulu king. Or we can go and look at the Muhammad Ahmed in the Sudan. They call him the Mahdi. He was a Muslim leader of the Sudan at that time who took on the battle against the British, and he killed the British general Gordon, cut off his head, put it on a platter, and sent it back up to Cairo. The British came with 23,000 fighters against the African armies, from with both Turkish Muslims, because the Turks have never really allied themselves with the African Muslims. Then we need to study the history of the Fatimite dynasty coming out of the West Africa. That's a Moorish dynasty nobody connects to talk about. And so they went back limping with 3,000 people out of the 23,000. So we need to study these things so we can understand we didn't go down easy. They didn't just come and snatch us and then we say, oh, some of our people sold us. That's not how it went. Yeah, we had some people sold us, just like we had some people over here sell drugs to us. We don't condemn the whole Black community because we got people doing that. Okay, we got to find who were the ones selling us, and let's track them down historically. And that's what the study and this fight in this war is about. But in South Africa, yes, sir.
Man, because you giving us so much history, and we appreciate this. So it's going to be a lot of different questions that's going to fill in some gaps for us tonight.
Yes,
but
sir.
Also brought up a good point when they were like, we need to know the truth now, who we are now. Brother Bilal, quick question. Do you know who Dul Al-Qurnayn is?
Dul Al-Qurnayn?
Yes.
It's a story in the Quran about him, Dul Al-Qurnayn. I don't know who he is as an individual.
What does the name translate to?
I don't know.
The two-horned one, the one from two empires, from he was the emperor of the West and the East. So that means there was the East. So I want to step in. We talk about Africa a lot, but let's talk about the West for a little bit and talk about the Dul Al-Qurnayn, because we have things way older than that Moorish dynasty and the Moorish Empire, way before the cracker ever existed at all. So when we say teachers of the truth, let's talk about what's going on over here on Turtle Island.
Well, let's start with West Africa. I'll drop some of that. You got the Ouagadougou kingdom before you have the Mali kingdom, then the Songhai kingdom, the Sokoto kingdom, the Ife kingdom, the Benin kingdom, the Ashanti kingdom, the Fatimite kingdom, the Almoravids kingdom, the Almohids, some Kilwa. So all of these is before 1492. And we need to study these kingdoms. We talk about the Moors like it's a label that covers everybody, but it didn't. And the Moors is not a word Africans use to describe themselves. That's the word European used to describe us, which we later use to describe ourselves, like the word African. We don't know the exact roots of the word African. It was spread across Africa by the Europeans, though the root of the word may well come from either Ethiopia, Egypt, and we know part of it comes from Tunisia and Algeria. And so the studying history is going to help you young people understand why you need to fight this war for independence of your mind and fight this war for independence of our people, so we can feed, clothe, and shelter our people and control economic and politics and culture where we live with our people. And so when we get over on Turtle Island, I don't know Turtle Island history as well as most. I know that, and I don't even know if this was really called Turtle Island. I know that became popularized in the 60s. And I fought on many reservations. I'm Native American and African, and I don't even like the term Native American because that's a misnomer. Even indigenous is a misnomer, because you had the Asiatic coming through the Bering Strait, and then you had the Africans who had been here for a time. We don't even know how long we've been here. We've been in Central South America. We've been in North America longer than any other group, tens of thousands of years. But we need to study that. You can't just say that and then create myth around that. I've been up and down the Mississippi. I visited 20, 30 of the mounds. I've been to past East St. Louis and visit the Mound City up there. Do the study, do the research. Don't just talk about stuff in the Grand Canyon we can't prove. Let's go to the things we can prove. I am Tuscarora and Chicora. I'm Malian. I'm Congo, Angola, and I'm Sierra Leonean, Mendi from the Mali Empire. I know all those ethnic genes is in my blood. I've been to reservations more than once for our family reunion up in the mountains of North Carolina. Many of them have lost their way too. They think they're white people up there on the damn reservation. I had to break up a whole powwow when we had our last reunion, telling the Negroes, y'all need to come and see your family out here dancing around for white people. And so the unconsciousness comes from not knowing history. History makes the mystery.
And I love you say that, because let me say this one thing, young elder, because we're not going to do, I remember last year, a lot of people were disrespectful from behind the computers and everything else. We're not going to be disrespectful, because one thing I love about his brother, he always says it. We got it easy. We got the internet. We got cell phones and stuff now. We got brand new information that they don't have. When this brother was doing stuff, there wasn't no internet. They were doing books. They were what did you say the other day, brother? These were books that were force fed to y'all. Y'all went out there and got the information the hard way. So a lot of people are egotistical. Yeah, they just when they find some new information on Facebook or find some new information on TikTok, and they be like, why doesn't the elder know this and isn't? It's we're in a new age of consciousness. So
people know much more than I do today. But the thing I say to them is, if you're going to teach your people, you have to be able to show them how you know it, so that they can know it. We don't want people running around believing, because then anybody can give them beliefs that's not appropriate, that's not right. Show them how to know. Show them how to get the information you get, so they can back themselves up in an argument, so that they can grow their consciousness in truth. Because you've got to know there is something called the truth, and you've got to know that truth. Grow your consciousness, you know. And we know there is nobody, the white people. I think me and the brothers were talking the other day, and I made a mistake, said 10,000. They only been here like about a little bit around 4,000 years. Everything else, they didn't build no civilization, because there ain't no civilization that come new after 4,000 years ago.
Right.
Everything that we know from Sumeria, from ancient China, ancient India, ancient Australia, Tibet, and I met with the Dalai Lama. He admits that was an African civilization. That's someone I function with. You know, the Cambodia, the Vietnam, these are all black civilizations. But the light-skinned people that come out of us, they've overrun a lot of what happens in Asia and Europe. That's cool, but we rule the South. Central America, South America, we built all those pyramids. But it wasn't just the pyramids. We get hung over the pyramids. We built civilizations, which is for the purpose of food, clothing, shelter, safety. We built a whole nation on islands where we grew our crops on water to feed our people, to clothe our people. You see, so when we're talking about being here, let's talk about the civilizations we built here. You understand? And the remnants are still here, but we need to go study them. If you go to southern Mexico, there was a beautiful brother. Oh my God. He was in the nation. He passed 2 years ago. I was searching for him, and I found out about 6 months ago. Brother Lamont. He went to Central South America and Mexico trying to study this thing. And he wrote a good book on the blacks in Mexico. And when he first came back, when he wrote the first pamphlet, he told me he met these elders who was willing to talk to him and give him the oral history on the people who came before the boat. Those are the ones who came thousands and thousands of years ago, and the ones who came on the boats. That means those of us who came over on the enslaved ships, and how they amalgamated together and became one people. And that's what happened. There's no distinct groups now. We married each other. Quebec Backer came and raided our village. Read LaRon Bennett's Shaping of Black America, the chapter on the black and the red. They said, listen, they all look black. They're all nappy-headed. Let's just raid the villages and put them all in slavery. And they declared war on us right here on the land. They didn't leave us free. You know, I'm one of those. I used to go clean the mounds where our people are buried in Oak Hill in the woods of South Carolina. We did that once a year. I didn't know then what those hills were. You know, we know they were ancestors' grave. And I always wondered why these are buried with the hills and the others are buried in the mountain, right? I realized these are the native people who came before those who came on the ships. And I'm talking right there about South Carolina on the Waccamaw River, just outside of Georgetown, by Paulus Island, where I was born and raised in them woods. I left them woods when I was 18 years old. You know, I was born in Africa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Real quick, because we got to get. I don't want to hold you too late, young elder. Go ahead, go get him, young elder.
Oh yes. So I got a whole bunch of questions because these are the questions.
Now, Bubba, you know, so I'm here to listen to your questions.
Yeah. I got a whole bunch of questions because these are the questions that we get attacked with. Being that I study, he said, Professor Small said that he was a student of Dr. Ben. I studied Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and their protege, Ashwa Kwesi, is one of my favorites. I study. He's a good one as far as studying the African paradigm. But this is my question that the young people asking. First of all, what do you have on Mansa Musa? Because we have reason to believe that he was over here prior, maybe 100 and some years prior to Columbus. And I mean, he was West African, Mulattian West African. So what do you have on that? The Mansa Musa and being the richest man coming to America, all this stuff.
Well, it's Mansa Musa's brother that leads the 1,000 ships and came over here. Okay. And only one ship came back. When I first went to West Africa, I guess it was 1980, and I went to this hotel called the Atlantic Hotel in Ghana that Nkrumah had built. And it was this massive mural on the wall showing Africans trading with Native Americans. I was like, shit, where did they come from with that, right? I didn't even know they even know such a thing because it's common knowledge that we've been coming here back and forth for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And so Columbus and them, that Christopher Columbus, his father-in-law had owned the ship, and Columbus worked on his father-in-law's ship. Now, the father-in-law was a part of that group that built Elmina Slave Dungeon, which is the oldest slave dungeon in Africa. Christopher Columbus helped to build that. Now, the young man that was the navigator that led Columbus here is from Elmina, Ghana. They knew there's 3 water currents. One is called the Canary Current, one is called the Guinea Current, and I forgot the name of the third one. If you get your ship in that current, it would drop you off into the Caribbean or on the coast of Florida every time, depending on the time of the year. Okay? And so Columbus and them, they all just lie, but they got lost and they woke up here. They just sat back. They knew exactly where the hell they were going.
That's right.
The Africans had already told them where they were going.
Cash, yo, I gotta address something because we're gonna miss the message, bro. people kind of slow, and I want to address this because they talking about some what you came in a name, a title, more, or this or that. There ain't nobody infiltrating nothing. I invited this brother on. Young elder. I invited these brothers on. So ain't nobody infiltrating. We're getting wealth of knowledge. Y'all so quick to say no to Africa. Like this man just broke down. There's a wealth of history and going back and forth. If we cut off one side of the history, we cutting off everything. He just said they've been coming back and forth for thousands. They've been coming back and forth for thousands of years. So when they say the elders are stubborn, think about how stubborn y'all being not listening. And we can prove it. Like we can prove it with the Olmec. We can literally prove it with the Olmec. We don't have to attack the brother at all. This is the elder. So please don't get kicked off the channel, man. Just, hey, you know what I'm saying? Ease up, man, and enjoy the show while you can. Continue, OG.
Let me say something on the Moor. We are Moors. We are Hebrews. We are Muslims.
Right.
We created Christianity and gave it to the European, and he messed it up. But it's our creation. Islam is our creation, and I can prove it. You know, the prophet and one of the brothers who's sitting there know there's a surah called the Surah of the Cave, where the prophet goes in this cave and hiding because people wants to kill him, and the spider drew the web over the cave. So when they came to that cave, that was Al-Burra al-As. And Al-Burra al-As is the same guy who leads the Umayyad army into North Africa and hook up with the Almoravids, the Moors, and move into Spain. We need to understand the details of history.
Right.
Because the same man that tried to kill the prophet then became a convert to Islam. But when he came in when the prophet told all of his followers, go to Ethiopia, Aksum then, the land of the blameless ones. And when the white Arab army, the Greco-Roman children, tried to come back, the king of Ethiopia said, these are our brothers and sisters because they believe as we do. And if you go to Ethiopia today, the Ethiopians pray the same way the Muslims pray. We get down into Sajda in all the same positions, except they do it 7 times a day instead of 5 times a day. They do wudu and just like we do. They were doing it before the Muslims were doing it. History. We are all of those things at different times in history. When we are here at different times, we're the Kemetic Empire at a certain time in history. We're the Kush Empire at a certain time in history. We're the Moors that sailed over here in 1,000 ships. We're the Moors that now live in Morocco. Many of the people who we said from Senegal, Mali, and Burkina Faso, those are the people that historically used to be called the Moors, because the Arabs and the French and the Germans pushed us out of North Africa deeper into West and Central Africa. The Moors didn't disappear. All I'm saying, we didn't call ourselves Moors. Others call ourselves Moors. We call ourselves by our own tribal names, like the Gudamas and the Caramantis and the Ouagadougous and the Ghanas. We had our own names for ourselves. Now, in some ancient Muslim literature, if you read Ibn Khaldun, who's writing at the time a lot of this is going on, and they're calling us Almoravites, Almorahids. You know, we are a mighty people. We don't have to deny how powerful the Moors are. All Africans are Moors if you're being referenced by an outsider. All Africans are Hebrews when you're being referenced by an outsider. We are just one big family with a lot of dimensions on us.
Let me get this one and get it to you, because I do want to address this so we get a good understanding real quick. Because I was going to ask a brother about Hannibal too, but let's answer the question first. No attack Arisha, but what protection is there claiming another continent? None. We didn't all out, and that's what the brother just said. The brother just said we were doing business back and forth. That means that we already and we act like women aren't business. We act like we didn't trade women. So we are mixed. We act like if we traded women and we had children, and we take slaves from enemies and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Professor James Small, you're people from Jacksonville, right?
Some in Jacksonville, but our base home is a place called Paulus Island, South Carolina. It's along the Waccamaw River, PD River. We come from a lot of the islands up in there. Right?
Part about Jacksonville, though? Jacksonville, they're from the Timucua. That's the Timucua tribe.
The core of the Small family. You go in Jacksonville now and raise up Small, we there.
No, I'm just trying to prove the point for him. When you study these Indian traditions and Indian tribes, where people half-ass do their research, the tribe tells you they were doing business with brown skin Moors, or they call them something else, but they call them conquistadors. But they're telling you who they're dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
We've been coming back and forth for thousands of years.
So the whole world is ours. We're not claiming one continent. We're not claiming. I understand. We don't claim the foolishness that the Africans doing. We are our own tribe, but we still got to realize once we understand who we are, we can still do business and commerce. That's how we like the whole world.
Let me show you the easiest way to understand. The Yorubas in Nigeria is a tribe, and they practice the Yoruba ethnic system and cultural system. But they are part of the nation of Nigeria, and they are part of the continent of Africa and the African race. You don't have to cut off your arm to identify your chest. You don't cut off your legs because you're trying to identify your arm. Of course, we've been in this. Some of us have been here for 500 years. Some of us have been here for 5,000 years and probably longer. We have our own culture, but we need to learn it. I hear people talking about it. Show me your tradition. You're talking about this tradition. I can show you. I grew up in it. I've been fighting for it since I was a child. So if you learn the tradition of your people, learn the culture and the values. My grandmama was a root lady. That wasn't no game. She was a priest and a doctor and a physician and a bunch of other things. And every single one of our villages had a root man and a root lady. Now, the white man may talk about us despairingly, but we didn't. Those are the people we looked up to. Because that came out of our ancient American history and tradition, and they merged it with the new African tradition. The Gullah Geechee didn't come from Africa. We merged two culture. I'm Tuscarora, and I'm Chikora, and I'm Mendi, and I'm Angola. I know that. You understand?
No, I'm gonna start ignoring them because they be acting like they don't understand what a DNA strand is. I think they only got one DNA strand when the whole time you have over 13 DNA strands and half of them you cut off because they just want to be stuck on stove. Your elder, I didn't mean to cut your wisdom, man. Go ahead and what was your next question, God?
No, but I want to make sure the young brothers and sisters really understand. Stop fighting with yourself. Just learn. If what we say don't make sense, then come back and teach us what you have that makes sense. That's all you got to do. If you don't love yourself, you won't learn to love nobody else. And you can't love yourself if you don't know yourself.
And like I said, I get it because Africans have become such sellouts, and Africans have become such dishonorable. For us over here in the tribes, it's death before dishonor. All of us are trying to stand on something. We trying to stand for this indigenous land, and I agree with a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? Because the Africans be the first ones. They down there killing each other in South Africa. They killing other black people.
I'm gonna have to check you,
they won't raise hands to the white man.
But I'm gonna have to check you. You saying Africans? The Africans in Burkina Faso, and Mali, and just killed a bunch of white folks and a bunch of Arab folks and a bunch of other black folks the other day. All of us are not betraying the community. Nowhere in the world. So let's seek out those who are betraying them, isolate them, and deal with them. But you don't cut up you don't commit suicide because you have an infected finger. Get rid of the infected finger.
I say, yes, sir.
My question is we talked about it the other day when we was on the phone about them calling us Moors and this and that, and the African term. So I went and did a little background on the African term and found out, like you said, Professor, that the Romans called us Africans, and it was right around after the 46. The Romans called us Africans. Now you said, yeah. So this my they call, and I heard Dr. Ben say that the word African really come from the Afar people. The Afar people, right? And that's why the Romans call them that land the Afar land, right?
Yeah, they're in the Afars are in Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt.
And I believe they was in America too, before Columbus. I believe they was in America because I got evidence.
We were here by thousands of years before Columbus. Columbus met us here, and he wrote about it in his diary. He called us Ethiopian. His brother, Columbus' brother, wrote it in his diary that he met these Ethiopians who were his guide. Verrazano,
Right.
even when he came to New York, talk about the Ethiopians that he met. Remember, in those days, the word they used to describe us was Ethiopia, which is a Greek word, not an African word. It's a Greek word that means burnt face, baked in the sun. So when they saw us, they thought we were white people baked in the sun. So they used that word. They would only later learn that we were their mothers and their fathers. And they would write about that too. So you read Herodotus, or you read Plato. Plato said in his book Phaedrus, that the Ethiopians, meaning the black people, the Moorish people, gave to the world all of its sciences. They're big boys saying this. And he names the science. And his book is called Phaedrus, or the Phaedra, and this is Plato. And he said they gave the world arithmetic, geometry, medicine, geography, astronomy. And he said the greatest science of all that these Ethiopians gave to the world is the science of writing itself. And that's their big boy. All right. Aristotle says similar things and others, but all we got to do is study, and we can outflank anybody. No one can mess with our history. Our history is world history. We were in Australia first. We were in Vanuatu first. We were in Hawaii first. We were in North America first. We were in Central South America first, before any white people was yet evolved. So we should stop beating up on ourselves about that issue. Study and teach our children about the legacy of our presence in this hemisphere. Instead of using it to attack brothers and sisters in Africa, they're trying to survive too. And they got bad apples there, just like we got bad apples here. We certainly can't say, with the killing we do of thousands every year, or shoot up each other every year, that we have a bunch of good apples. Let's try to figure out how to build the best character by learning history, value our women, value our children, value our family, value our community, build good communities, build good neighborhoods, and push other people out. And to do that, you don't even have to kill them or hurt them. To do that, all you have to do is keep your wealth to yourself. That's not hard. Keep your wealth to yourself and share it only with one another. You know?
Hey,
You know. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. Another part to my question about the Afar people. Now, you said that they call these particular people, the Afar people, Africans. And then from that point, they began to, well, you didn't say that part, but I looked it up. They began to call all people in Africa from all different tribes that wasn't Afar people, because the Afar people is only one group. You got the Twa, Sandsman, the Y2Cs,
right?
All these different groups. So how they
have their own ethnic names?
All them wouldn't be Africans. They wouldn't be Africans. They wouldn't be Afar people because they different from the Afar people, right?
Well, most of the difference are not genetic. The difference is cultural. You know, the difference is how I interpret my environment and how I reflect that environment to reflect me. You know, the things we call religions and spirituality has nothing to do with some of the foolishness that we do in our practices. Religion was to explain the universe, explain cosmology, and explain ecology to ourselves, and how it works and how we should work optimally as a part of it. And then we replicate that and repeat those things so that we learn to utilize nature the way nature should be utilized for optimal growth. Even praying is a science. It's about energy. It's about matter. It's about vibrations. It's about rhythm. It's about light. Take those 5 things away and you don't exist. Bring them together following certain specific laws and rules of the universe, then we exist. And so our ancestors was trying to make that's the sacred science that so many people now call religion. And most have no real understanding of what the ancient people were trying to tell us on how to live in harmony, the thing we call Ma'at. Harmony and balance with nature, harmony and balance with one another, harmony and balance with the other living animals in nature, harmony and balance with the cosmology, learn from the universe how things on the earth works, so you can live in that balanced, harmonious life. That's what they were trying to do in Kemet. They weren't just building pyramids and building buildings. In Central South America, they weren't just building pyramids. All those things were scientifically constructed to serve the environment that the people lived in. And they were trying to find ways to love one another. They were trying to find ways to be in harmony and peace with one another. It wasn't about making war over conversation. And so we who are here in North America, we have constituted our own tribe. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with even saying I'm a foundational Black American. I could say that, but I'm still an African. Being foundational Black American don't stop you from being an African. You understand? If I want to name myself the Zulu Nation in North America, based on my personal history as a group of people separate from the Zulu Nation in South Africa, I can do that. But I'm still an African. That's a bigger picture, you know? My finger isn't my arm, but the finger contains every cell that it takes to make up my arm. My arm isn't my torso, but my arm contains all of the cells it takes to make up the torso. We are part of this one body, but we have different functions and we have different responsibilities to keep the whole body working. What? And so that's spiritual understanding we've got to regain, you know?
Genetics, you said it wasn't no genetics different, but I think it is because of the Twa. They don't get no taller than 5 foot. And the Watusi, they get taller there. So that's a genetical difference, huh?
But I think the genetic, you can, in most of the research that you would look at, the genetics is no more than 1 to 2% difference. And I've not lived among, but I've been among the Twas, and my spiritual breeding in Ghana, I have a priestcraft breeding. I'm Nana Kofi Mpansa, the second of the Agogo stool. But the sister who raised me was trained by the Twa. Okay. And people don't think of the Twas as being in Ghana, those little people, but they love me. I'm like their big baby, right? Mm-hmm. And when I go there for the Akwesi Dai, I haven't been in a couple of years. His mama died. She was 101. And at the big Akwesi Dai, they would let no one sit beside mother but me, because I was her favorite child, her favorite student. And we're talking about people like this tall.
Yeah, 4 foot, 5.
But they could dance, they could play drum, they knew the science, they understood nature, they knew cosmology. There's some heavy teachers.
Young, you brought up the Twa. Where the Twa originally from, though?
Like
Congo Basin seems to be.
Did you say they from Ireland and Greenland?
No, Black people used to live in Ireland too.
No, I'm saying when they say the Twa, I think it's funny because when they say Greenland and Ireland,
leprechauns, but they drove us out. The people they call leprechauns, that's the Twa people who lived in the British Isles. But our genesis seems to be the Congo. No one can prove that the genesis of humanity is anywhere else except in Southeastern Africa. No one. Bring your science. Bring your science to the table.
But that's the thing. That's the only thing. And I respectfully just point out one thing. Science has brought some new stuff out from South Carolina. They found some new bones of the oldest bones.
Let's make sure the white man ain't playing with us again.
And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. But also, that's why I said sometimes it is good to talk about and focus in on Indigenous America, because when we talk about Indigenous America, all the history you gave us about Islam, those Olmec are way older than Islam. Those Olmec are about 2,000 years, about 2,000 and some change older than Islam and Christianity.
They're older than that.
Exactly.
So that doesn't mean anything. The temples in Cambodia are older than that.
No. What I'm saying is that when we say the temples in ancient Mexico and all over, I'm naming just the Olmec, but we have the Toltec, we have the Yucatec
throughout South America.
So with that being said, if it's 2,000 or 3,000 years older than Christianity, which Christianity is only a couple thousand years old, but maybe 16,000, 17,000 years old, and we all know that Islam was big on creating Islam. I mean, Christianity is big on creating Islam. So that means by default, Islam is younger than Christianity. When I say the Olmecs and that is the evidence right there that says we're older than what they got going on over there. There's nothing over there that's older than what they have over here.
No, you're not using the right measurement. You're not gonna play with me. I'm gonna have to spank you in front of everybody. Now,
look, I'll take it.
You got to give you a spanking. Don't Islam and Christianity is not ancient Africa. All right.
Yes, sir.
Those are modern African phenomena, and so we don't know what the age is. Now, I wrote down here on one of my things that the human being that we call human is 3 million, but some say 7 million. We don't know how many millions of years we were in other places before the earth separated into these continents when they were called them Pangea, or nobody in history called it that. Modern men call it Pangea now. It's not some ancient name. That's modern anthropologists and paleontologists that's calling it Pangea. So let's be clear about that. There was no old place named Pangea. Then don't play with your mind. There was a period, because there's continental drift still going on. The continents are still drifting east, northeast. But it's so you can't see it with your eyes, but they can still measure it. There was a time when what we call Guinea was pushed up right against Virginia. You understand? Guinea, what we call Guinea, West Africa today, that was a part of Virginia. Okay. But over the centuries, over the millions of years, we've drifted apart. We left plenty of people on this side and plenty on that side. But that part that we are calling Africa, which was snug up against, you can fit it right in between the Gulf of Mexico, the United States, and South America, and it'll fit like a puzzle.
Yes, sir.
But it has drifted away over the centuries. I'm just saying that place where they're looking at the Genesis place is in that piece that drifted that way. There is no war. The only person I've seen, we've been talking about the Olmecs for 60 and 70 years. But the people who are just discovering these things, they're talking about like they just had a discovery last year, an epiphany. No, we were teaching this in Black Studies for the last 60 years. Somebody haven't been listening. If you've been listening, you could keep up with them. Nobody ever denied that these were African civilizations except white people. And even some white people have written in support of our understanding. But we don't care what they write. We know we populated the whole world. The only people in the world that can call themselves indigenous is the African. So there's nothing extraordinary about being indigenous to North America. We were indigenous to everywhere, including Russia and England and China and so forth. So we are caught up in the American mind, the African American mind, need to wash the whiteness out of itself. Your skin color isn't enough to acknowledge your race. Your race is a set of ideas and principles on how you see the universe and how you work with this universe. It's a set of ideas and principles on how you see the earth and how you work with this earth. It's not just location.
Yes, sir.
In the case, the white man could be boss. He could say, I'm boss. I look at them fools and laugh for them thinking they're boss. But we know they're gonna be disappearing in 100 years. Genetically, there won't be any of them left. But what are we going to be them mentally? Are we going to be them spiritually? That's the danger. Can we find out what was the mind of the African? What was the spirit of the African? And let me tell a little secret about Islam and Judaism and all, because I was, it takes some growing to understand that there's nothing different about Islam than there was about the Olmec thinking. They're the same thinking. They may have called it something different. When there's nothing different about Christianity other than the foolishness the white man and his messing with the document called the Bible and that meeting at Nicaea and then Conference of Trent and the Council of Chalcedon, where they messed with the ancient African writings and left stuff out because they were too ignorant to keep it in. All people were trying to do is explain what the universe to themselves. That's all religion is, my brother. We want to make it a man or a woman or angel. What is an angel to somebody? Hell, I'm an angel. If I help you out of a difficult situation that you can get out of, and I bring you sets of ideas and principles that let you take your mind and grow yourself out of your difficulty, you better damn call me an angel. So you need to just understand that these things that we call religion, that white people have tried to turn into a civilized identity, the African man and woman was simply trying to say, we live in nature. How do we explain it to ourselves? We live in the cosmos. How do we explain it to ourselves? How do we know when to plant, what to plant, when to harvest, when to kill an animal, when to eat this animal, when to fish, when not to fish? Because the fish need time to spawn and have new babies. You don't want to eat a pregnant fish full of eggs, so you don't fish that. All these things we learn from studying nature. And so when we look at the whole thing, it doesn't matter what we call it. We just have to find the best model of it.
Yes, sir.
Model. And some of the models from ancient time was far better, but we need to study them. Let's do the research. I've never been to Mexico because I'm scared of the drug wars. You know what I'm saying? I want to go there so bad and climb up that pyramid and go in those temples and read that ancestors left. And I'm going to go to before I leave this earth. I'm going to go to Central South America. I'm going to go down to Belize. And I thought Belize is the only place I'd been when I was fighting back in the 60s, you know?
I'll say this. Well, a couple things. One, we were watching a video earlier, and I didn't realize the amount of self-hatred the Belize have against indigenous Americans.
Yeah.
Me and Young Elder were having a video. We were having a show last week. We were talking about the gangs. So I called over to California. And I started talking to a couple people, and they let me know it was straight up. It was like, yo, I'm thinking it was a black dude saying this. He said, yo, I don't attack white people. I don't attack Mexicans. But when I see black people, that's who I kill. And then I said, man, them niggas over there slow. Them niggas over there, this nigga. And then my homeboy called me. He said, nah, bro, that ain't us. Them people from Belize, they like agents. Those are agents. So I really
like that. I fought in the jungles of Belize with a gun in my hand with the UBAD party in the 60s. And we didn't always think like that.
I just put that out now.
Happening. You remember when everybody got angry with me when I made that statement? Now, my tongue was kind of tired that day. I didn't really say what I really wanted to say. I was trying to say our behavior is like the CIA. Listen to me well. And I'm a man who's got a baby by an agent, but she ain't a baby no more. So I know how you can get close. You can get so undercover that you forget you're undercover. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to tell you something. I see it happening all over Africa. And as old as I am, they still try to get young women to push up on me because they see me out here doing what I do and think they can sway my thinking. The CIA is not a James Bond movie. Most of what the CIA do is not shoot people and run around jumping from trains and elevators. Most of what they do is disinformation and misinformation. That is the primary job of any intelligence agency, to gather information on a people and to do disinformation among a people. And when you start seeing the same pattern in South Africa, in Belize, in the United States, and Ghana, you can bet the CIA and all of its tentacles got a hand in that. You know, if it looks like a cat, you better be damn sure it's a cat. And we're not paying attention. If we knew history, you'd understand precisely what I'm saying.
Let me ask you this about history, because we got to jump timelines a little bit.
That's all right.
Teach us about, because people keep on talking about well, he's this and he's that, and they get so caught up in names and titles, but you just destroyed that whole name and title thing. It don't matter what you call us. You know what I'm saying? We all indigenous to something, to this earth.
Everywhere, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Hannibal, what was so special about Hannibal and how he, like, people don't understand Hannibal, he connected all the tribes that they didn't agree, they didn't see each other as the same. He connected all these tribes. Can you teach us a little bit about Hannibal and what made him successful?
Well, one of the things that made him successful was his ability to unite people. And he united people from West Africa, Central Africa, North Africa, East Africa, and he built one of the mightiest kingdom that we know today as Carthage. People try to give credit to the Roman, but the people who lived there before the Romans came over and invade, those are the people Hannibal got, and he brought elephants. His elephants was like the army tanks of today, and he went through Spain like the Moors did, and he went across the Ferris Mountain into France, and he hit Rome from behind. They did not expect that some black dude was going to leave Africa, go through Spain, come through France with tens of thousands of soldiers, and hit Rome from behind and pretty much wiped Rome out. he made a fundamental error when he didn't complete the wipeout. You know, had he wiped them out, he never would have lost the Punic Wars, finally. And the Romans would have never came into North Africa. But there's another group we keep forgetting. When the Moors arose, beside the Umayyads, the black Arabs. The Arabs weren't always white people, right? This white Arab is a 20th century person, okay? 20th century person, and late 19th and 20th century person, Greco-Roman children, French children, so forth. But the folks that was the head of the Umayyad Empire, who came into North Africa in the 800s, 700s, and hooked up with the Almoravids and Almoravids and the Garamantes and the Gudamas people, because those were the two biggest names. Nobody was called Berbers back then. That's a new name. These people call themselves Garamantes. They call themselves Gudamas. These are the people we're calling Moors today. These are the people who are in Senegal, Mali, and the same people that we are calling Moors in history. Many of them was brought over here. Remember, the Portuguese and Spanish was in Central South America for 200 years before the British came to North America. Most of the people who they captured who were Moors were taken to Central South America, not to North America. Very few of the people who were Muslims from that area. The Muslims, about 20% of the black people who were brought on the slave ship were Muslims, and they were mostly brought to North America, you know?
And you know what? And I love somebody in the comments, they said, because I didn't want to get too far. That's why I said I didn't even want to touch this topic. I know how sensitive this topic could be, but I also wanted, the reason I brought it up with Hannibal and everything else is just because of the warfare, man. How do we protect ourselves as black people? And then they say, oh, we're not black, we're not this, we're not that, whatever. Whatever title you want to call yourself is self-identified. We can say we Tamukwa. You can say you Washington. It don't matter what you call yourself. They call you nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'll call you nigga because nigga mean nigga and nigga mean king.
I can claim Washington.
All of it, you know what I'm saying? But what we want to talk about tonight is
black. But at the end of the day, we are the indigenous people of the world. When God, Allah, Oludumare decided to be human, it became a black woman. And the rest is history.
I say, but back
I got a critical question, man. I got a critical question that the people want to know.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what is Professor Small's take on W.D. Du Bois? Because we did a tape, we did some research on him yesterday and found out that he was Boule, that he was Freemason, that he was trying to run us out of London. What's your take on the Pan-African movement, W.D. Du Bois, and them the connection with London? They was always going to London, and why you not having a Pan-African movement in a conference in Africa? If y'all haven't, why you got to go to London? So what's your take on W.D. Du Bois and his career as far as what he was doing with the Pan-Africanist movement?
Yeah, well, look at him in his time, not your time. At that time, all of Africa was still colonized and controlled by white military. And the people who were able to fight against that, for those who had left Africa from the continent, most of them was based in London, outside of the United States. So, and Du Bois isn't the one who founded the Pan-African movement. That movement had been going on well before him.
It's Sylvester Williams.
Williams is his last name. But even before him, you had people like Martin Delany, before the Civil War, traveling to Africa, buying land to take all of us back home, and forming an organization called the Niger River Corporation. There is no history have all these ups and downs with different men and different women at different times in history. Now, the Boule has never been, the Boule, many of them may be enemies of the black community politically in terms of ideology, but the Boule didn't start out as something that was anti-black. And Freemasonry, it was born in ancient Kemet. It's not something that's born in England. And I'm a Freemason. I've been a Mason for 30-something years. And most of the good people I know fighting the war in the black community come out of those formations. Before Du Bois and the others founded the NACP, they were the same people that had founded the Niagara movement, one of the most militant movement in the country. Before they founded the Niagara movement, do you know the movement they were leading? It was called the Afro-American Association, 1892. Malcolm X didn't start the Afro-American Association. Du Bois, T. Thomas Fortune, and them started in 1892. The Afro-American League, I'm sorry. The Afro-American League evolved into the Niagara movement because they met at Niagara to try to become a little more militant. And the NAACP was born in that Niagara meeting. It took about 6 years before they started calling what they put together the NAACP. So you really need to study them. Even the clash that him and Mr. Garvey had, you know, is unfortunate, just like we having these clashes now. Instead of sitting down at a table and says, okay, I made a mistake. The issue he had with Du Bois, with Garvey, was Garvey meeting with the Ku Klux Klan without having any consultation with the current leadership in North America, and he wasn't a part of that current leadership. And they said, wait a minute, how you can come and meet with our enemy and not have a discussion with us? That was the genesis of that rift between them. Just like you saw the rift between him, Du Bois, and Booker T. Washington. They worked together 90% of the time, but we only talk about the 10% they had an argument. So we need to study history.
Yes, sir.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that we all fighting the same enemy: Africans, Australians, the Americans. And to me, I think that we a lot of people might not agree, but I think that we all the same people, because I did some research where I got 10 African people. And then I found those 10 African people that look like 10 American people. Now, how is that happening if they different people? But they look just alike, right? But this is my thing, going back to this is what people are afraid of, the African thing. And I think I don't think we should call ourselves Africans based on what I learned from you, Professor Smalls, because you said that the Romans, the Romans has called us Africans, and they only called the one group of people who was the Afar people Africans, and then they proceeded later on to call the whole landmass Africa. So how does that make people in America Africans when the Romans came, when we was already over here in America before 146, when they came out with the African thing? We was already in America thousands of years before that. Go ahead.
Well, the only thing we ever called ourselves either God people or humans. We didn't have abstract names for ourselves. That's a European phenomenon. We didn't name continents. That's why that whole thing about Turtle Island ain't real. All right. Nobody knew how big this thing was. They may have called a portion of it Turtle Island. And we know who called it Turtle Island. You know, I ran with the Blackfoot. I worked on the reservation down in Arizona with the Apache. None of them called it Turtle Island. Which one of the groups was calling? Was it the Iroquois? Who called it Turtle Island? But people didn't name large land mass like that. They named their location. If you go to Kilimanjaro, that mountain right now in Kenya and Tanzania, and go to the sides of the mountain, everybody in each of the 4 directions got a different name for the mountain. They name it for what they're seeing and how they're looking at it. Go on the other side of the mountain, that group got another name for the same mountain. Go on the south side of the mountain, that group have another experience with the mountain, so they got a different name for the mountain. The naming continent is something that began to happen after 1500. That's a very modern phenomenon. And when the Europeans start sailing around Africa, and I'm using Africa because that's the word that we've accepted until we change it, we're almost 2 billion people. 5 of us can't change but 2 billion people think, unless we do some kind of plebiscite with the 2 billion people and say, what is the best thing to call ourselves given our knowledge of history?
Well, that's the thing. That's the only thing. And young elder, that's why I said I didn't want to go this route, and you still with this route. But that's true. There is a bunch of brothers that they have done the work. Like I say, a lot of us have done genealogy. I know a guy that does genealogy.
There's 2 billion plus of us on the earth. You have to take that to the 2 billion, to some degree of them, to see, because I know that people have done the research. Then put that, it doesn't belong to you. Do what I'm doing with what I know. Give that research to the people. Give your knowledge to the people. You don't know nothing.
Yes, sir. And like I said, I didn't want to touch this conversation. Conversation I brought you on tonight.
A good conversation. Touch it. Punch it.
Yes, sir. The conversation I wanted to have tonight with you was strategic, man, for the people, man. You a warrior. Like everybody can talk all the internet shit and everything else they talking, they ain't putting no work for their people. That's why they can have several seats. I don't care about nothing else. You actually put in work for your people and do different things for your people. Right now we're at war, and these dudes on here trying to argue about what somebody else calling them. You know what I'm saying? But these same silly ass Negroes can't even, you know what I'm saying, get their own neighborhood in check. What as a people in America, me personally, I don't care about what them Africans got going on. I don't care. In America, we've made our stand, we made our claim, and what I brought you on was to talk to the warriors out here to make us
the rest of the world, because you made your claim. That's the error everybody's making. You are not going to defeat this cracker. You believe you can, take them on.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to try to pull that 2 billion together the best I can, and I'm going to take them on. Yes, we are foundational people. This is our land. We've been together just in North America, right, for the last maybe 10,000 years. But in a conscious where we can establish history for sure the last 500 years. That's enough time to constitute ourselves a people. But what does that mean? That I piss on my mother and my father?
No, that's not what I was. That's not what I was saying though. Okay. I'm only focused on what we have. It's good to have knowledge from everywhere. I got information from China, just like you said. We got information from Australia, but I do want to focus on what we're working. If we were to do a political power and we worry about everybody else, we've already lost because nobody else is putting us in their plans. Nobody else is putting us right here in their plans.
You, but you can do that.
So the thing I want to focus on
the rest of yourself. You're going to have to unite with those other people. You don't have to become them to unite with them.
That's it. That's it. But that's why I said I'm only focused on what we're doing right now over here, and that's what I wanted to have a conversation about. Strategic wise, actually, you already touched on it a little bit when you're talking about economics. You know what I'm saying? That was the best part. You want to touch a little bit more on that?
Oh yes, sir. And I believe 100% in what you're saying. You got to take care of your immediate location. You've got to take care of your immediate identity. The only thing I'm saying, you don't have to kill other people to be you. Then you may as well go on and join the white man and become him because he already mastered that shit. If you want to be the human being that has the guardianship of this planet Earth, then you have to be better than that thing. You can't become that thing. And so we who are living over here, we have to take care of our brothers and sisters, our mothers and our fathers. We got to get the crime out of our community. We got to get the crooked politicians out of our community. We got to build schools that really teach our children the technology of the day. You know, we need STEM programs in every school that we have. We need to have every institution, the mosque and the church, bring STEM programs and after-school programs and Saturday programs to teach our children STEM and history and culture every day. But we've got to make sure we understand clearly we got to master economics, politics, and culture on the block we live on in Philly, in New York, in Los Angeles, in Chicago, or Detroit. If we do, you can call yourself Africa all you want. If you go and take Africa and come back and your ass starving and the police still beating you to death, you ain't got nothing going on. That's all fantasy. You know, I go to Africa, but everybody's clear. Wherever I go, I'm fighting. Okay. But I'm fighting first to consolidate this. I have my family, we have 3 villages, 3 that we control in South Carolina. Simmonsville, Marysville, and Parkersville. And about 70% of it is our family. It's along Highway 17 going from Charleston to Myrtle Beach. I've got to go down there and do some land stuff down there now on the Simmonsville piece to make sure we consolidate that spot. We're supposed to do that. The people who live in the Georgetown County, once they rejected me, they didn't even want me in their town. Now they invite me to their church for Juneteenth, and just give me that they invite me to their church for Black History Month. Well, they didn't want me to come in the church doing funerals. I went to my sister's funeral and the preacher calls me out. I wanted to slap that fool in his church and jack him up after the church. You know, and he's gonna apologize. Oh, James, I'm sorry. No, he's gonna tell me this is his church. Fool, that ain't your church. And if I felt like taking it, if my big brother hadn't told me to stand down, I'd have took over his church. You don't speak over my family if you don't know them. I go home to every funeral.
And we appreciate all the work you've been doing for the community. And
Orisha.
Yes, sir.
Back. As old as I am, I got y'all's back. Y'all are the youth. Y'all have to begin to teach me. We've done, my generation, what we could do. It's y'all's time. Take the thing further. You're going to discover more than we've discovered. You're going to learn more than we've learned. But don't throw what we've learned in the garbage. Take the best of what we've done and put it with what you've done and create a better world for our people over here in America. Because we're almost 60 to 70 million people. We ain't going nowhere. A few thousand brothers and sisters would move back to Africa. That's beautiful. If I was still young, I'd move there too. I like the peace over there. I've got a hotel over there. I don't have citizenship over there. The only citizenship I have is here, and I'm cool with that. But I've got a nice hotel, me and my friends over there. It's a poor people hotel. It ain't no big international thing. But I got a place I can go lay my head. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Yes, sir.
You came over there and said, oh, I don't have a place to stay. I said, Roll, come on, bro. We're going to Cape Costa Sauna Lodge. And we'll clean up a room. If it ain't clean, we'll clean up one. We got 30 rooms in there.
if we Africans, why won't Africans give us citizenship in Africa?
Man, you asking this man some crazy. Look, he didn't belong to the Africa. You know what I'm saying? So don't do that, yo, because you go keep going back and forth.
No, because it's people on here asking these type of questions.
Young
I
elders.
don't worry about them people. I ain't because they asking agent ass questions to get the trigger. They missing the point. We were talking about Hannibal because we were talking about unity. I ain't going to keep ping ponging back and forth.
I got one more African question, then I ain't got to say nothing else because I agree with a lot of what Professor Smiles is saying about.
They missing the whole point. They missing the whole point on the world shit.
The people who run the governments, remember Africa, the continent, let's be real, right? Is just coming out of slavery.
Okay.
It was 1957 when the first piece of territory in Nkumu, we call Ghana, got some semi-freedom. It was 1960 before another, I think 5 or 7. Those people are just coming out of slavery. Colonialism was slavery. Before they put the first one of us on the ship here, they had kicked our asses on the shores there. This is a war. It is a race war, okay? And you can fight yourself all you want and rationalize and justify it, but you're gonna lose the war, all right? If we're gonna win the war, we can't let sick people lead us, but we have to understand that they're sick. You understand? Just like we understand that I'm the one that coined the term post-slavery trauma syndrome. Our sister would write about it decades later, but I was talking about it using the term post-slavery trauma syndrome for a decade before others started writing about it, because we carry the sickness in our mind, and that's what's going on the continent. They just come, they're where we were in the 1800s in terms of a conscious view of the group's freedom, right? They're moving a little faster because we're in this modern time, but you've got to realize that's the situation. With all that wisdom and all that knowledge that's hidden there, I can go over, like one of the brothers, one of my closest friends is Haji Hassan, like your name, Haji Hassan. When I need medicine, I go to Haji Hassan. He's a Muslim, he's an imam, he's a Haji, and he's a traditional African priest. He knows secret medical science. You understand? But he too, with all of that brilliance, he does not understand the level of politics we are talking about tonight, because we are way ahead. The war we fought in North America to free ourselves from this cracker, we were ahead of the curve. You understand what I'm saying? We're way ahead of many of our people who are just beginning to get free. When I first started going to Ghana, nobody in Ghana, the community, went into the slave dungeon. They used to laugh at us. I remember the first article in 1984, they wrote, "Why is Professor Small crying in the slave castle?" First I told them it ain't no darn castle. You know? But now when you go there after we did the same thing, we fight and tried to train and teach, you will see buses after buses of our children in Ghana being taken in and being taught the history. In 1992, when we took those bodies back home, me and Sonny Casa and Bubadika and some others, the sisters from Jamaica, we found that the people didn't even know slavery happened. Most of Ghana did not know the transatlantic slave trade even took place, because nobody teaches it in the school system. They teach it the same colonial curricula of enslavement that they were doing. So they got a long way to go, just like we had a long way to go, but we're way ahead of the curve. Because we've been fighting. You see, the reason our fight has been so gross, we're the only one that had to grow up in the devil's house. We grew up in a majority white controlled nation. Everybody else is in a majority black nation that is a minority white control. So we had to take the devil on face to face, toe to toe. Nobody else has had to do that.
I love that you said that. I love that what you just said, because that's a real truth that we don't acknowledge. A lot of them Africans are 50, 60 years behind in their mind and time and in real time and everything. And with that being said, that's more of a reason for we realize that the whole world pays attention to what we do right here in America. The whole world. They got Iran putting out rap videos trying to communicate to us. They got the White House. Donald Trump just dropped some kind of. They watching everything we do right here in America. So by us making a stand and showing the world what we need to do, everybody else will follow when they see the superpower that the indigenous Americans are. I love what you said. I love what you said about you know what I'm saying? It's easy because all we got to do is hold our dollar and spend our dollar with each other. If we, you know what I'm saying, we ain't got to be Asian to realize that's what the Asian, to learn what that's what the Asian do with their money. We ain't got to be Jewish to realize that's what the Jews do with their money. You know what I'm saying? So all information, all knowledge, I ain't gonna cut myself off from no information and knowledge. You know what I'm saying? You've been back and forth to Africa, you got a lot of sacred information to them, but you know what they got going on as far as them, they racist to we call it racist, but they sectarian with their own kind, and that's why we ain't got time to worry about them right now. We ain't got time to worry about them right now. That's why I'm gonna talk about it.
Stop saying we don't have time to worry about nobody else. You do, because if you don't have them to have your back, this crack is gonna take our heads.
Chief, they never got our back.
We need allies.
Respectfully, they've never had our back. We've been fighting. How many of us been fighting? No, there's with the exception of Gaddafi, and Gaddafi tried to say that a billion ounces of gold, or I forgot how many kilos it was of gold.
Right.
But he wasn't even like them. The whole African thing, we got to be realistic about it too. We got to be honest about the whole situation within itself. You know what I'm saying? We're the only ones that really, from the information they gave us back in the day, because that's what we had to fight with. Especially in Mississippi, especially in the South, in certain areas, we use the information. And like I said, Black Islam is way different than anything else. You know what I'm saying? So we will reach out to anything and claim it like we were just thinking. We back in the day, we used to automatically think Islam meant African. You know what I'm saying? We would the Dashikis, we do all that. But now we just in a different time, and we see them for what they are. They ain't no African nation never said anything about, you better get our people back. They never said.
Orisha, you cannot say they about 1.4 billion people. For you to say they, and you're talking about 1.4 billion people, it tells me that you know and understand the behavior of 1.4 billion. No, stop doing that. My ancestors would smack the something out of me if I let you do that. We have got to build ourselves. You do not have to desecrate anyone else to build yourself.
Not at all. Not at all. And that's not what I'm doing. That's why I say I just don't focus on
what you're doing, because you're the power. You're the big brother. You have a responsibility for the rest of your family. If you're the leader of the family, then you're responsible for the weak ones in the family too, not just the strong ones. And everybody follow us. Everybody on that continent. When you say Black American, you are looked up to. Because they're seeing that we are fighting a war in a way no one else has dared to take this beast on. And they're seeing the victories that we've won, but they're not where we are. But don't condemn the blind because they're blind. Get them a walking cane, a seeing eye dog, or some surgery. You know what I'm saying? That's going to make you the leader. You are the leader. You have to know how to lead. You are the leader. That's why you got Orisha on your name. You didn't lead that back there, did you? You got that Orisha, that power. All right. So we have to understand, yes, the universe, the divine has put us as the vanguard. But the vanguard, got to remember, you're not fighting for the free. You're fighting for the unfree.
Alhamdulillah.
So I love all my people. So let me tell you a little secret. When I first started the hotel, I got robbed of $300,000, brother, over a 4-year period. Now let me finish. And when they thought I might find out, they put a contract out on brother. Dang. I knew the date I was supposed to die, okay? But I got on a friggin' plane and I went over there and confront the enemy. They're gone, I'm here. That's all I got to say about that. But that didn't make me turn against my people. I dealt with the people who did what they did to me and my comrades. I love my people, the weak ones, the strong ones, the smart ones, the not so smart ones. We have a lot to overcome. We have a lot to learn. We in a race war. And the one thing, when you say Asians, you didn't say Chinese, Cambodian, you say Asians, because they understand, though they're different, there's a unity that is necessary for survival. Jews, they're different, they're all over the place, but there's a unity that's necessary for survival. Unity don't mean you have to give up your autonomy. You understand? Or your identity.
Somebody said something about Arisha. These be your people too, young elder, because they little minions. Somebody that half-ass doing research. Arisha's all over in Americas. If you do ancient Elegba, it's all in those Mayan glyphs as well.
It's all over.
You know what I'm saying? Arisha from Ireland, it's most of it.
Africa.
Yeah.
Nobody gonna get away with telling me that they were born historically anywhere else. Everything in the Americas, every people that has ever lived here and breathed the air in this hemisphere came from Africa. Whether they came 1 million years ago, 5,000 years ago, 10 years ago. And now, if you're talking about reality, then stay on the page of reality. You're not going to win a war with fantasy history or fantasy identity. Make and know your real identity.
Now, that's the thing. Respectfully, Professor Smalls, when you say fantasy, but I give you stone. When I give it truth written in stone and you call it fantasy, that's what I'm fighting on your behalf. But then I really am. But then
I got you, Stone, and I'm with you. You didn't hear I say I got your back. I'm trying simply to say you need to alter your language so you can be the leader. If you're the leader,
that's the thing. I'm on my Hannibal. I'm most definitely on the Hannibal. I want to connect the tribes. The tribes get caught up on wordplay, and it's stupid. It's stupid as it is. But Hannibal found a way to merge all the tribes, no matter what they call themselves. Now, like I say, I believe that everybody, especially the tribe, we have paperwork now. We go get our genealogy done. There's some amazing goddesses that do the genealogy. It don't cost thousands. They'll get it done. And the paperwork talk for itself. But we're not even about the paperwork. What I'm about is tribe right now, right here, right now. No matter, I don't want to talk about Africa because no matter we talk about Africa, it's not going to help us right here, right here. But right here, we're talking about economics.
So I'm sorry. That it ain't gonna hurt you either.
I'm on your side, but that's gonna. I can't really.
You got to be about now. You got to take care of your house. You got to take care of your family. You got to take care of your foundation. When you get all that's taken care of, you better make sure you have some allies because your enemy gonna be coming after you. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Can I say this?
We the most powerful people. You said ally, but we the most powerful people in the world. The world revolves around niggas in America.
Well, let's get okay. Let me tell you. First step,
let's be our ally very soon.
Let's close.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying?
Let's make them. We're the most powerful people in the world. Let's close Angola prison and bring our brothers home, and then let's close the other prisons and bring our brothers and sisters home. There's almost 1 million of us. Let's stop by that. Let's bring them. The sisters who are
you a lieutenant. That's the first mission you're gonna send us on. I mean, we could have did a whole lot of different missions. That's the mission. Nobody else had to shut their prisons down. We had to go on a crash dummy mission for that. You know what I'm saying? Now, but I get what you're saying.
I'm in the prison. I've been teaching in the prison for the last 40
years. I get that part, but I'm saying when we're here, we're not talking about the old missions. I'm talking about economics. I'm talking about we ain't got to worry about building prisons. We building economies. We're building our own stores. You said it. We're going to be greedy with our dollars. That was the most revolutionary thing you said. You know what I'm saying?
We got to control the economic, politics, culture where we live. And I gave you a method. Map your community. You know what you're looking at. You know what to do with it. Map your community. When you listen to the tape again, when I talk about finding who owns the building, who owns the store, what type of building, who's hiring who. Do the mapping so the young people can know what the mission is.
Yes, sir.
You don't if you can't feed yourself, your enemy is feeding you, and if your enemy is feeding you, he will control you. If you can't determine a house for your wife and children, your enemy will determine, and that means that ain't your wife, and those may not be your children. And so we need to get serious. And then the culture is just teaching what you're teaching now, the values that you want your people to have in terms of self-reliance, self-independence and self-dependency. I'm with you. I'm at your side. I may not be able to have you back, and I'm a good martial artist even at 80.
No. You look. Listen. You did everything you were gonna do for us. You put the foundation down. Now we got the foundation. We gonna keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna build it up. But that's why we asked the elders. We want to connect with the elders. But the same way we connect with the elders, and you said we can't throw away all those that ancient libraries. Don't throw away our ancient. You know what I'm saying? Because we looking at it's indigenous futurism. We about to build something so beautiful. It's gonna be Crystal City. Go ahead, young elder.
And
they build the future on the ancient knowledge. All I'm saying, if I see a brother walking down the street and he blind, I ain't gonna kill him, and I ain't gonna leave him there. I'm gonna put a little rope around his hand and tie it to my hand. So now you just follow the rope because you're my brother. Or I'm gonna get him a stick. I'm gonna call Fido, my seeing eye dog, and I'm gonna say, Fido, you take care. I got a water fight. I got to build a building over there. I got to put in a brick over here. I got to build a farm over here. And we have all these farms in the South. We should be able to create. And I know there are a lot of different brothers because I work with the brothers down in Coldwater and other parts of Mississippi. So I know there are a lot of brothers who are doing farming and other things. We need to try to pull that together as much as we can because that's how we supply our grocery stores.
The King's on the show right now. The King of America's on the King of Mississippi on the show right now. Brother Bilal, tell us what you do, sir.
Alhamdulillah. I want to tell Brother Small, I appreciate his information that I was able to take in tonight. I had to break away for a minute because I was fasting today.
Yes,
but I'm an elder myself, but I learn a lot. I learn a lot from you talking, and I think what the main thing, our young brothers, we have to understand, we could not throw away what has been a foundation for our people. And the brothers and sisters in Africa, like the brother said, they're behind us and they're looking up to us. So we can't leave them behind. We got to pull them as we try to pull some of our people in this country is behind us. But we got to have patience with them and understand slavery had done more damage to some of us than it has done to a lot of us, you know what I mean? And some of us still have the slave mind, even in our community. So we're going to have to work with them, those who will let us work with them to try to save all our people, as many of them as we can, especially in this day and time. And I want to thank the brother for allowing me to be a part, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this talk tonight. And I received a lot from it. So I'm very grateful to Almighty God for having this opportunity. But we're going to have to be patient with each other. We have to be patient with even our family members. Because as you grow, that don't mean everybody else is growing along with you at the same pace.
Yeah, people in the same bed that's going in the opposite direction.
Right. So you can't throw them away. You have to try to reach back for them. And like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said a long time ago, the civilized responsibility is to teach the uncivilized. Wherever he find him. Whatever people he find him in, if we can, is to try to help civilize the people. By Allah's grace. So I want to thank you, and I'm gonna sign off. I raise sheep, huh?
Before you sign off, that's why I was asking you. Can you tell them about your land and how many acres of land you have and what you do on your farm?
Well, I raise sheep and goats. I just bought 25 more acres of land, and my family has a 62-acre plot that I live on, and I added 25 more acres. But I have about 45 or 50 sheep, and I have goats, and I have other farm animals. So I know that is the future. If I can get some young person in my family you talk about trying to reach people, trying to reach somebody in my family that can come here and stand in and learn this before I leave here.
Yes, sir. Well, so we don't be in touch. Stone gonna make sure that we all hook up with each other.
Yes, sir.
And anything you can do to assist.
Yes, sir. So I think Brother Stone is a young brother that's been in my life for a long time, and I've seen him grow. But I just want to ask you one thing: don't leave nobody behind that you can help.
Yeah, he's a soldier. He's a general.
Yeah, he's a general. He's always had that wisdom and that get up and go by himself. So I love him for that. So may Allah bless you, brother, and you stay strong and keep pushing forward.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for your time, OG, man. And we'll have you back soon.
All right, God willing.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, can I say what I was gonna say, man? I've been waiting a while.
Do your thing, young elder.
Hey, so this is the problem we dealing with, Elder Professor Smalls. The problem we're dealing with is that we are indigenous to this land, whatever you want to call it, Turtle Island, or make some North America. Before 1492, we agree with that.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
the problem we having when we accept the African narrative, even though we can accept the African narrative, but the problem we having is once we accept the African narrative, they tell us that, hey, well, you don't got no rights to this land. You are African. So you don't got no connection to it. You are African. So then when we go back to Africa, just like you said, we go to Africa trying to figure out where we from. Nobody accepts us over there. It's like we stateless. We just wander in that sea. Don't know where we from when we accept the because we accept we were slaves and brought over here as Africans. That means we have no rights whatsoever to this land. So it pretty much the African paradigm robs us of our indigenous rights. And then when they come and talk about reparations, we don't want no damn reparations.
Who are you talking about?
The heirs to this land. We are the heirs to this land.
Our indigenous right. Who are you talking about? I never seen. Who are you talking about when you say our indigenous right? Because the African that came on that slave ship and the one who had been here, they married into each other and became one. And so both of those things we have to do. I don't see a contradiction here. That's the thing that's bothered me. How is others able to see a contradiction? I can be an African American, I can be a Black American, I can be an indigenous, and yet I know I still came from Africa. Then you could keep this. We could say, keep that. I'll take all the gold and platinum and cobalt, and I'll go fight for that. That'll be the wealth of the world. The youngest population on the planet Earth is those who are living on that continent. The wealthiest piece of real estate on the planet Earth is that continent. You may be willing to give it up to somebody else. I'm not. It's mine.
Africans don't want to give it. The Africans don't want to accept
this is mine. I don't care what the Africans don't want. You can't be talking about 1.4 billion people. Because if you do that, that don't sound right. Don't do that. You're not talking you don't know what the 1.4 billion, because I met, for the ones who robbed me, I met 99 out of the 100 that didn't rob me, that helped me, that saved my life, that told me who was robbing me and told me who was trying to kill me. Those were also Africans who did that. Now, the ones who were doing the opposite, they got handled, not just by me, but the others we calling Africans who helped me. And so just like over here, when I go to Harlem, I can't say because somebody's selling drug on a corner, Harlem a drug dealer, that wouldn't be true. And I dealt with a Nicky Barnes and backed him up and made him give me a campus drug-free for 20 years. So we have to figure, how do we do this? Yes, we are indigenous to this land. That's a fight we have to fight in many spaces, but that don't cut me off from my genes that come from Africa, because I would like to take the genetics routes you took. And I can tell you that whatever genetics you're doing, they're going to give you the majority of the genes going to come from that continent. I got a little Irish in me, I think about 3%. And for the Native American, the so-called Asiatic that we call Native Americans, I got 5%. All the rest of what I got came from Africa. But see, the key thing is, when did it come? Right? So it may not have come just on the slave ship. That Angola I got might have been here for 5,000 years before the slave ship. You understand what I'm saying? But it's the same Angola genes. Did that make sense? I don't want to say that sounding stupid.
No, I'm with you. What you're saying.
So we got to fight both of those battles, is what I'm saying, brother. We got to fight both of those battles. This is our land. We ain't gonna give it up. That's my land too. I ain't giving that up either.
I can agree with it.
You know,
so that's the position I take. I ain't giving this
up. Great question. Somebody got a great question, and because I like what young Elder. I'm just trying to be respectful about it. You know what I'm saying? So why do the U.S. papers and legal system designate a difference between Africans and Indigenous Americans?
So why do you? I ain't gonna speak for what the white man mind is. I'm gonna speak for what I gotta do. All right. He's like, there's a dude that had been attacking me, some white boy from Russia, calling me stupid So he emails me. He says, "Hey, stupid nigga." He got angry because I put up something about the black women who were involved in the space race. So I send him all the black icons from the Russian church, right? So and so he got mad and he came back at me this morning. So I call him my little white nigga. I said, "All right, little white nigga, if you're going to miss all that I've sent you, you know, tell me what you think of everybody in your church in the ancient days was black. Jesus was black, Moses was black, and you're Russian. This is your church. So stop playing." So my thing is, we are the world. You understand? The black man is the world. The white man's call has only been here about 3,000 to 5,000 years. We are, but he's come with a vengeance and he's kicked our butts all over the place. And we're trying to get control of our lives from his mess. And so I'm careful that I don't fight my cripple, that he's crippled, because my cripple don't see that he's in my way. Then let me join the white man and be a demon like him. He'll reward me well. But if I'm going to remove that demon, I cannot become the demon to remove the demon. Yes, we are the planet. We are the cosmos. My religious perspective is very clear. I am the universe. We are the universe composed of this thing called human. All of our indigenous religions say that, from Kemet and before Kemet and after Kemet. And those religions we gave to the European says the same thing. They just misunderstand it through ignorance to understand what they even got. You ever seen a picture of the Last Supper? Everybody's seen it, haven't you?
Right.
And in the picture of the Last Supper, you got a man sitting in the middle of a table with light coming out of his dang head. He's the sun. On either side of him, you got 6 people. You got the 12 months, and you got the 12 signs of the zodiac. And the 6 people, they're separated in 4 groups of 3s, right? The 4 seasons. So that picture is an anthropomorphic explanation of cosmology and ecology at a time when crackers in Europe were 99% illiterate. So you paint a picture to tell the story of real sacred science, and most of them don't even understand it today. They're looking right at it and don't even know what they're looking at. It's a whole book in one picture. And it's a book about our science. They've stolen our science and put the sacred out and called it science. What he's calling Western science, we took that to them. The Moors took that to them through Spain. They didn't have that. We gave them a little bit back in Greece, and they lost it and went into the Dark Ages. And then the Moors came and brought them the science back. Then they stole it and just took the sacred out of it and called it, what did they call that? The Reformation or something, or the Age of Enlightenment? Well, we enlightened them fools. Then they came and kick our butts. So now we have to figure out, how do we put this genie back in the bottle and lock it there for eternity? And we can do it, because Stone and the youngsters are going to lead us there. I'm not going to be here when y'all do it. I'll be gone at 80. I'll be gone when y'all close the door on them. But it's y'all's job. I'm just here to give you a little bit of foundational information. You take the best of what I give you, throw the rest in the garbage that you don't need. You ain't going to be able to use all of what I say. But some of what I explain and some of what other elders that bring, you'll be able to use that. Then do what you're doing. Build on that, just like we built on the elders who gave it to us. And you create your world. But your world must be based on what is truly universally, and I'm using the word African because that's what we call ourselves universally now. But we could throw that out tomorrow and get a new name. And whatever the consensus is cool with me. So I'm not hung up on that name. It's just that that's what most people identify themselves using, that label. And so we are the universe. This is our planet. We need to take it back. And until we do take back that aspect of it that belongs to us, there'll never be any peace down here. You understand? There'll never be any peace. But we can't become the demon and think we can win against him. You will never win against the demon, because he is the demon. You are its opposite. You are its opposite.
Hey, lead it up to Risha. I gotta say something on that. Hey, y'all that's tuning in right now, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to help Brother Smalls out. He's got a family emergency and a situation going on, and we're trying to get some money together so he can handle his business. So if you own right now, show him some love on the donations. We got the Cash App on the screen. Somebody send him 10, somebody send him 5, somebody help him out, man, with 25, 100. Whatever you got, we'll take it. Whatever you got, it will be useful because we're trying to get it before a certain deadline here. So everybody in, man, send them something right now on the Cash App, $5, $10, whatever you got, won't hurt. We'll appreciate whatever you send. All right, Arisha, I just wanted to make sure I said that right there.
And appreciate you guys. You're a real one. Yo, and like I said, man, Professor Small, we appreciate everything, all the work you put in. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people put in a lot of work and they brag about killing their own and everything else. A lot of people, they you know what I'm saying, don't have the kind of stripes you got when it comes to these enemies. So big respect for that. You know what I'm saying? And all your comrades, known and unknown. A lot of new information is out right now, so we appreciate that, and we want to take the information that you had, the wisdom that you got, and build on what we're building over here right now, because it's gonna be real beautiful when we build what we got going on over here. So, yeah, man, please donate to like Young Elder, donate to the brother, tap in with the brother, Professor James Small, Ace. You man, that's my damn cousin.
Do we got a PayPal?
PayPal?
Yes, sir. I have a PayPal. So the email for my PayPal is my Amponsa 3, AMPONSA3, AMPONSA3 @gmail.com.
I shall take.
But let me say something to my youth. You are my children. I don't have a choice in that. And thank God, I'm glad I don't have a choice. I think the generation that you represent, Brother Stone, y'all are the best generation we've ever produced.
I'll say.
Don't let nobody play y'all like y'all ain't doing what we did. Y'all are doing a hell of a lot more than what we did. But because the enemy ain't broadcasting what you're doing, people think we ain't doing nothing. No, the black youth is kicking ass all over this planet, and especially here in North America. But you have to fight to get a greater unity among yourselves here in North America. Because if you don't get that unity, the enemy gonna come after you harder and harder and harder. I mean, if I was to tell you my life story, if it wasn't for the ancestors and the divine, I wouldn't be here. You understand? Because they've come at me hard in many, many different ways. Brother, I've been on my belly in LAX, shotgun in one hand, 45s on the side, while LA Finest is coming our way, me and other brothers. But the Feds stepped in. I don't know to this day why they stepped in. And we were allowed on that plane with all that armament to go to Frisco that night. I had Malcolm X's sister with me. We had hid her behind a bunch of desks. James Baldwin was with us the day before, but James left on a plane. So I've been on the battlefield on all fronts. I've been in the jail. I've been beat up, pistol in my mouth, behind the gas station, gun in my head. I went that, peeing in your clothes because you thought that was the time you were gone. I've been there. I ain't just been somebody in some classroom calling Professor Small. You know, it's just the best you can do where you're at that time. You know?
A lot of people, man, they don't listen. Young Elder just told you what was going down. Somebody said, was it about money? Yep. Yep. We were trying to help the elder, bro. Yeah, y'all be talking about money. He said $5. He said $10. Shit, it's about helping each other, man. It's about unity. Y'all spend all that money with the Arab. You spend all that money with the Mexican. You spend all that money with the white man. But then when it comes to your people, all of a sudden we be scared to talk about money. Yeah, the elder was having a situation and we wanted to help that elder out, man. So yeah, I don't know what's wrong with y'all people. Look, that's how y'all curse yourself.
But don't know, enlightenment will come to those as they learn history. The one thing I've learned through all the years I've been out here, and that's why I have to love that little lady downstairs who's been with me for 55 years, because in the 55 years, I've spent most of it away from this household, trying to do what I can do in the Black community across the world, especially here in the Northeast United States and on the West Coast. So we understand, brothers and sisters have to learn to understand. They have to learn to grow. So when I'm looking at the giants, like the young elder, and I'm proud to meet him for the first time. And Brother Orisha has been back and forth with me on the phone, and I've been missing him, but I ain't gonna miss him as much as I used to, because I see the direction, and I love the direction. I know where you're going. I know what it takes to get there. And I know you're gonna get there. You know, like that thing where Moses said, I may not get to the promised land with you, but y'all gonna get there. Dr. King said that too. You know, y'all gonna get there because that's your job. You know, that's your job.
Yes, sir. Big, you on here with young elder right now. There's a big chief on the land, especially in the digital world. Somebody get put up a great comment. They said, Professor Small, please partner with someone to produce your life story. So earlier, you know what I'm saying, we had Brother Palau with the land. Now you on here with your young elder. He can do the whole life story, man.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to tape some of this, and Brother Wade Noble been working with me, and two of my daughters. Because you know, I didn't think about that earlier, but in the last couple of years, people have been telling me. I realized, you know, I went through a life where I met and knew Assata Shakur, where I met and knew Sekou Odinga, the brother who busted out of prison, where I met and knew Khalid Muhammad, Malcolm X, Dr. King, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Sertima, Francis Welding. These were my comrades. These are not people I care about. These are people I struggled with, and many more. And it's such a blessing when I think that I had the opportunity to suck the energy of knowledge from all of those people, and the ones that left the books, Zora Neale Hurston, the Langston Hughes, you know, the W.B. Du Bois. He had some bad side, but I ain't interested in the bad side. I need to grab the good side. The Booker T. Washington, the Marcus Garvey, the Martin Delaney, you know, the T. Thomas Fortune. We have so much of our tribe who have fought a war like no one else in the history of the world have fought this war, race war that we find ourselves in. And it is a race war. Make no bones about it, you know, and we're going to win. Frankly, we've already won. It's like we got to get the mopping up right. You know what I'm saying? We got to make sure we have the victory right, because sometimes you can win and then give away your victory. And we've done that a lot of time. And our time is, somebody asked, when is our time? Is right now. Love your children. Love your mate. Build your family. Get control of the economics, politics, and culture where you live. Build your community. Control your PTA. Don't let nobody run for political office that you weren't involved in choosing from your neighborhood. Control the school board. Control the PTA. Control the city council. Control the land commissions in your immediate community. They said all politics is local. All politics is local. And when you control your local base, you can influence the national base. And don't be afraid. And you got some people, brother, in the Boule who ain't worth a grain of salt, but you got people in there who are cold-blooded warriors like an Asa Hilliard. He was in the Boule, but Asa was a warrior because he understood. I can tell you about brothers in the Freemasons that ain't worth throwing a grain of salt at. And I can tell you brothers who work in the streets in our community every day and every night who's in that same lodge.
Right.
You know, so it's about the best character. Build the good character of the Black man and serve your people. The greatest leader is the greatest servant.
I see.
The greatest leader is the greatest servant, you know. And I appreciate you, brothers, because I can feel your spirit. I don't know why the hell we weren't enacting a long time ago. But I got Orisha reaching out to me for almost a year, so it ain't on him, it's on me, you know. I appreciate your spirit. I feel the spirit, you know. I don't know if the people can understand that.
Man, they don't know who they're talking to. They don't understand who you are. You were a Black Panther at one point in time, right?
No, I worked with the party. I was in the OAAU, and I was the OAAU liaison with the Black Panther Party. But I might have well been a party. I spent more time in the party office than most party members, under the leadership of Zaid Shakur. Zaid Shakur, not Zaid. Zaid Shakur, that's the husband of Ashada Shakur. He was the one killed on the turnpike that day. He headed the Panther office in the Bronx. His older brother, Lumumba Shakur, headed the Panther office in Harlem. And his baby brother, Matula Shakur, was the one that went to China and studied acupuncture and brought it back to Lincoln Hospital in the Bronx to try and get brothers off of heroin. And it was at the same time that Rockefeller and them came up with that, what's that thing they were pushing on our people. And when they saw the brother could get people off of the addiction through acupuncture, the crackers went crazy. And so I worked with those brothers.
Wow.
Tupac's mom and dad and me and my wife got married in the same bedroom in Malcolm X's sister's bedroom in Harlem. So so I worked very closely with those brothers. All of them came out of Malcolm X OAAU before they became members of the Black Panther Party. You know, Dhoruba bin Wahad I've known since his first year in the party. Matter of fact, we were together earlier that evening when they picked him up in the Bronx in that raid they did in the Bronx. Fred and Hampton and Mark Clark was in New York 2 weeks before they were assassinated, and we were all doing work together. So we didn't make the big distinction. We worked together as comrades.
Hey, man, my apology, bro. My apology. I'm crazy. Somebody asked a great question. They said, don't you know Tupac? I forgot all about this story. Yeah, tell about Tupac, G.
Yeah, I knew Tupac. Tupac was close with my children. I knew his mom and dad. We were all close. We all worked together in the Panther Party and OAU. You remember Tupac's family come from a Muslim family. Shakurs were Muslims out of a mosque in Elizabeth, New Jersey, Haji Sham Jabba. And so that's why I said me and Tupac's father and mom, we got married in the same bedroom. You understand? And Malcolm's sister's bedroom on Malcolm X's birthday. So then Tupac, I spoke to him about 48 hours before he was killed. You know, he called the house from Vegas to talk to one of my children. Then he wanted to speak to me to set up a meeting. He wanted to have a meeting with me when he got back to New York next week, that week. And I asked him what was the nature of the meeting. And he says, you know, this thing they're saying about me and Biggie, he says, not true. Me and Biggie are not at war. He said, that's the white press. He said, me and Biggie have united to fight to get control of distribution of rap music. And I asked him, Tupac, do you realize you're going up against the mafia? Both and I named the two ethnic group. I won't drop their name. I don't want to get y'all in no problems.
Man, we don't care. Look, we bulletproof.
Mafia, the ones who killed Sam Cooke and Billie Holiday and a whole bunch of other peoples. And so he said, I understand this. Professor Smalley says, I want to meet with you because we need some advice on how to go forward. So I said, well, you and Biggie can't do this by yourself. This is too big. He said, no, we got other brothers. We pulling in other brothers. And you remember when Tupac got hit? 2 days later, his cousin, another rapper, got killed in Jersey. I forgot the brother's name. The kids know their name. And they were a part of that whole thing of trying to take control of distribution. And if you, I don't know, you remember James Ntume. James is dead now. He was a musician. What was the group that Ntume was with? It was called Ntume. And he was the first one that put out the information about in the late 1950s, where Columbia Record paid Harvard University to do a study on how they can control Black music. And the study concluded, if you control distribution, it don't matter what the contract is you give them, you will control the industry. You know? And so those and Tupac was a beautiful young man, you know? When he got shot that first time, me and the Sons of Africa, we were the first ones at that hospital before his mom got there. When Afeni got there, I was already there. And I won't say certain things because we probably could still be charged with the crime, you know, but he was removed from that hospital and taken to safety, you know.
Hey, y'all warriors. People talking nowadays, they ain't gonna bust a grape in the fruit fight. You know what I'm saying? The police out here killing kids left and right. They still let the police live in their houses. They still let their police kids go to school. These police out here, these white folks out here disrespecting. One white woman got rich for calling a black little girl her name and just disrespecting her. She got rich. You got a white boy that raised over $1 million for him just for calling black folks, you know what I'm saying? And they want to talk about you and shit and ain't gonna bust a grape.
Right.
So look, when it comes to them, I look at stripes. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole lot of people out here talking about their Crips, Blood, Gangster, White Lord, Black Disciple, whatever. And the only thing they ever hurt was somebody that looked like them. You ain't got no stripes, you ain't got no feathers. Look, everybody want to be a guy, but you're scared to kill the devil. So man, we most definitely appreciate that, D.
And let me just say, that's not the way black gangsters. You know, I was a consultant on a movie. If you ever watched the movie Godfather of Harlem, you know,
Yes,
so Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker. It's a movie. It's a TV movie. It's been running for 3 years. But one thing I learned, I knew Mr. Bumpy Johnson, but I remember when we sat down to cut a deal with Nicky Barnes. Now, Nicky was a drug dealer, and he put together the closest thing to an organized black mafia of anyone since Bumpy Johnson. And we sat down and tell him I was working at City College at the time. And we had just taken over the college a few years ago and opened it up to black people. And so we then said, listen, brother, we ain't gonna mess with you on the streets of Harlem. And then I had enough brothers I could mess with you, right? And so I said, give us that campus. Well, if any of those students get by that arch, we want no drugs sold on City College campus. And we signed a handshake agreement, which he kept his word until he got arrested. And for nearly 20 years, nobody sold drugs at the City College of the city of New York. And the one or two brothers that we got caught, when we turned them over to Nicky's people, we didn't have no issue with them anymore. And we raised those children for thousands of black kids. They finally kicked me out of there. It took them 20 years to do it, you know what I'm saying? But in that 20 years, we put me, Jeffries, and Shashi McIntyre, and Dr. Scobie, we put thousands of our babies through that college.
Man, this is why we had you here. You had us talk about everything else in the world. You had all this information about all this black mafia information and whatnot. They said, can you get into the black mafia history?
Yeah, the one thing that was beautiful about the black mafia, they only kill one another out of absolute necessity. The black mafia thing was the black community must be controlled by black people. That's what their story is about. And that Frank Lucas thing, that's a white folks rendition of reality. That wasn't as real. You know, you want to find the real story, read the story of Bumpy Johnson, a black man who takes on all of the 5 family.
That's right.
The black community is run by black people. You understand? He's the one that's responsible for protecting Sister Sinclair and getting Dutch Schultz killed. You understand? So we need, if you want to study the real black gangsters, they didn't murder their own people. Matter of fact, the biggest employer in the black community was the numbers business for decades.
Man, look up Philadelphia, look up the Junior Black Mafia, look up that the documentary on Tracy Mason. That's my big cousin, Tracy Mason, enforcer of the Junior Black Mafia. Philadelphia, man, look that up.
No, if we understood that the only reason our brothers had to turn to crime, because they wouldn't give us no other way to control our community. The banks wouldn't loan us money. We couldn't send our children to school. We couldn't buy cars and homes. So the black numbers, brothers and sisters, create a whole banking industry, and that allow us to go into business, that allow us to buy cars, that allow us to pay tuition. What was so cool when we were working on The Godfather of Harlem, the brother who was one of the writers, Paul Eckstein, Paul is dead now, his grandmother her college was paid by Bumpy Johnson, the tuition. You understand? And then he ended up helping to write the story for The Godfather of Harlem, which was an MGM ABC movie piece. You know, I was a historical consultant on the project.
I see one brother in here, and ASO. Is this ASO from Houston? Is this ASO from Houston real quick? I'm about to, you've been funny all night. I'm about to show y'all something. Is this Ace from Houston? Because if it is Ace, let me see. If it is Ace from Houston, you talk about that brother being a Mason, but weren't you a Mason at one point in time? Y'all got to stop it, bro. You get some information now you want to backtrack.
You know, there are people, they're good people in all these organizations.
That's right.
You can sit back and let the thugs take over and the crooks take over, or you can take over. The Masons is just a tool. It's an organizational tool that'll help you organize and control. Now you can let the sick dudes take over, or you can say, I ain't letting that happen. It's just like on your block. You can sit back and let the wrong people take over your block, or you can go and organize and make sure you and the right people take over that block. You know?
And somebody said something about the Jamaican Mafia out of Philly. Well, if you know the history about the Jamaican Mafia, we know when y'all came down, y'all weren't plugged in with us. The people we were at war with, the Junior Black Mafia was at war with, was the Jamaican Mafia. Y'all came down and y'all were not unified, so we ain't gonna, the Jamaican Mafia ain't getting too much of a shout out of here.
Now, let me give you a little hint. If you remember when the Jamaican Mafia and others moved into DC and the Philly area, what was going on in Jamaica? The CIA had just took over the government and pushed out Michael Manley and put their boy in power.
Right.
How much of that shit coming in our community was CIA born? Hey, you better wake up, study history. It'll erase the mystery.
No, I get the mystery part, but the blood that was shed, that's what we don't forget, because if they were easily, that goes back to, there's certain things that a Black American won't do that somebody will do for a couple pieces of change. And when you do that, there's a lot of blood that was shed with that Jamaican Mafia and Junior Black Mafia thing. So it's not like we can just forget what they did and be like, oh, we're gonna write that off.
Out of that, the whole crack industry was controlled by the American CIA. And one of the dudes that facilitated it was Bill Clinton, who was the governor of Arkansas. They were landing those planes from Columbia on Arkansas National Guard base while old Billy Boy was the governor. You understand what I'm saying? And this was General Secord, and what's that one they put in jail? Oliver North, who was selling drugs in the Black community. They created the crack industry in the Black community in order to buy guns to overthrow governments in Central America, because the Congress had cut off the money, right? But they've always been running the drug industry. It wouldn't exist if they didn't want it to exist. Hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. I appreciate your time. We can talk about that. We can talk about so much. Because like I say, man, people don't understand when you have an elder like this, man, this is what they a high deep parable, whatever we want to call it. You got a whole library right here that can tell us all. So think about the conversation. Think about what he just told you about Tupac and the conversation he was having with Tupac. Think about all the different things this master teacher has experienced that we can take and run with it and create societies and different things, or make sure we don't make the same mistakes. If nothing else, we ain't making the same mistakes. So yeah, man, please help OGs out. We ain't hearing nobody else out.
And just remember, economic, politics, and culture, you got to control it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Politics and culture. And land, labor, and resources where you live, you got to control it. If you control those 6 things, you can guarantee freedom to your community. Then your job will be to protect that. And that means learn how to use a weapon, learn how to acquire weapons, try to get as many legal weapons as you can. If you can't get illegal, get the illegal. But you've got to protect what you create.
Hey, man, y'all talk about the real revolutionary right here now. This Big Shango energy. Big Shango right there. Hey, man, we appreciate you. I ain't going to keep you too long, man. I want to have you back soon because, hey, we can learn so much from you. No matter, I don't care about everything else I'm talking about right here, right now. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to be creating a new history. So,
I understand you. Just remember, I want the young people to know that I'm your uncle, I'm your big brother, I'm your father. I give you the best of what I got. Use of it what you need. You understand? The
yes, sir.
Leave there and build the future. I'm not going to be here to build the future. I'm 80 years old. I'm not going to be here to build that future with y'all. Y'all build that future for the people. And you got to make sure you get it right.
I see.
Get it right. You know?
Man, and we appreciate
you one more time.
Man, appreciate you, a young elder, man. Appreciate the young elder gang. Y'all really came in and y'all did y'all thing. Y'all, boom, right here.
You should show Professor Brother James some love on the Cash App, y'all, because it's a serious deal, the family emergency. That if y'all could do that, man, we'll really appreciate whatever you can send, man. So much love to y'all in the chat, y'all.
Hey man, young elder man, shit. We appreciate you too, God, and everything you do. You know, already know we're gonna be back at the Chief Talk again next week, man. We appreciate everybody in the tribe. Man, thank everybody that support. Even with hitting that like button, subscribe. Go to if you ain't on Young Elder page, subscribe to Young Elder. Support this OG. You know what I'm saying, and his endeavors, because no matter what the elders do, they did it in their best. They did it with the best intentions.
Right.
So yeah, get out of here, man. Intentions, everything based on your intentions. So yo, peace to the guys.
Peace.
If I ain't get to y'all comment, man, you know what I'm saying? My apologies. They had a lot of great comments tonight. So, but we're gonna catch y'all next time, man. Peace to the guys.
Peace to the guys.
Peace and blessings. And remember, your future belongs to you. No one's gonna free you but you.
I see.
Free yourself.
Yes, sir.
You gotta have all content have intent.
Yes, sir.
Understand?
Yes, sir. Peace to the guys.
Protect your woman.
I walk slow.
My bad, Chief. You still going? Go ahead. Say the last part you were just saying.
Protect your woman and protect your children. Build them homes and build them safe places to live.
I see. Drop mic. Yes, sir. Peace to the guys.
I walk slow. I talk low.
Listen.
Listen to the stones.
Listen to the stones. Listen to the bones. Shadow and smoke. Concrete and steel. I don't say much. I let the silence speak. Every step I take got memory underneath. Street lights hum low like they know my name. Wind move different when I'm in my lane. I've been here before, just not like this. Same soul, different risk. I walk slow, I talk low. I see things you don't show. No rush, no noise, just a man and his poise.